You're judging them by calling them
And
bikes.
I don't want to do the same as them, go round sleeping with people.
Did you call me a bike, Candyman?
It's different.
Then don't do it. I'm not asking you to do that. But what I'm asking you to do is not
But don't judge me on my opinions because I'm not judging you on yours.
I'm judging you on your
You
opinion.
are. You called us bikes.
Heavily.
And then
No,
we
I
don't have
didn't.
morals.
No, I didn't. I turned round and said, where is people's self-respect and self-worth?
There you
And
go.
the comment on the
So you
bike
basically
was,
defined
if
that
I
anybody
wanted
that
to,
sleeps with a lot
if
of
I
people has
wanted
no
to,
self-respect or self-worth.
if I wanted to ride a bike, I would go to Halfords and buy one.
There you go again.
Right? I did not make a judgment on any given person. Get over yourself, Mary.
Oh
Can
my
I
God,
just say, can I just
I'll
announce
to my
that
wall and get more information from it. Hi, Wall. Yes.
Candyman was correct. I am very much a bike.
Paige, you don't
Honestly.
start, love.
Sorry, but I am and I enjoy it.
Do you understand what we're saying? Is you can have your opinion, but then don't add things onto it and saying that, well, I think if you don't have any self-respect or self-worth if you are sleeping with more than, I don't know, 40 or 50 men.
What part
You can
of,
choose not to do that.
I made that comment because people doing it, their respect and self-worth doesn't match mine, what I have for me. That's what my comment was based upon. Right? That is not a judgment on what level or fucking angle your self-respect and self-worth is. Right? I have a lot of self-respect and self-worth for me, right? And just because I don't do it doesn't mean say you can't.
But it does mean that you will judge people and avoid relationships with them if they don't.
Well, isn't that what the world of 2025 is about? Judgment
No,
of
it's
people.
not.
Because enough people do it.
In it, Jess? Jess, do you want to hook up? Me and you have quickie. Fucking get in it, girl. Say it.
Like, this is what oh my God. I'm going out to bash my head against the wall. I'll see you later.
You can't leave.
Don't you leave?
Can you do it on the live?
I'm not going to lie, but can I just say Cat Slater is having me in Howells with the I'm not a bike, I get slammed like a taxi door.
Yes, Cat. We'll have all the slammings like a taxi door.
I just, look, the thing is, and I personally think that when you use the broad statement, it is, even though you're not saying a name, it is still going to affect someone by saying it. Calling someone a bike is degrading. It's used as a negative.
Listen to what I said. If I wanted to ride a bike, I would go to Halfords and buy one. At one given point, did I turn around and call anybody a bike?
You're
Yeah, but you know what?
You're implying
it.
it. It's the implication.
Candyman, I think what they're saying, I think you had a really good point. I think no one's going to hear it, they'll listen to it because of that one comment, which is actually annoying because I actually really agree with what you're saying in terms of the self-respect and stuff like that in this generation. But people can't clearly get past one comment to actually hear what you were saying, which is a shame.
So why don't you follow up from a different angle? Because
I just think in this generation, this day and age, toxic masculinity is massively, it does exist, but on the counteract of that, because it's been such an open and apparent thing, men and women are degrading themselves, and I think they're over-actualizing and over-hyping like things like how you are with your body, how women and men, I'm raising two sons. I have to make sure they're safe as well, but I always say when you've got a little girl, you know, when you've got a boy, you've got to worry about his one winky room, where to put it. When you've got a little girl, you've got to worry about all the winky rooms and make sure that your daughter knows how to respect herself in a really toxic masculinity type of way and day and age. So I just think young men and women are giving themselves and creating soul ties with people they don't really care about because it's so over-glamorized in society, and I think that's worrying.
But do you not think that people should be able to do that without being labelled as creating a soul tie or the expectation that...
No, I think I don't, because I think you can have like interactions. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everyone you sleep with you have to love. But taking away the fact of things like soul ties and you know, and actually having it like impact us on an actual basis and your emotions. I think not talking about that, going, oh, but you don't need soul ties, but over hyping and over glamorizing that you can just sleep with anyone creates a society where everyone is shagging each other and everyone's having kids very young and no one actually is staying together. There's hardly any less couples, there's less families. It's not because people are growing up and accepting more, it's because people are not being as compatible, because people are just jumping into bed together, moving in on the first week, and then now you've not actually got to know each other or created any kind of, like, do you know what I mean, thing together.
I have to disagree with that, Paigey. I actually think
I don't agree with that.
I think couples are not staying together because they've actually got the choice not to stay together. If you think families back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, the moment you had a kid, you're almost forced, you have to stay with that person. Whereas in society now, you know, we as women have more choices to be able to leave that partner. We're no longer having to rely on that man to do.
You're talking about toxic relationships as a whole. I'm talking about staying together through the likes of compatibility. I'm not talking about if the man cheats, you've got to stay. I'm not talking about DV. That's like
I wasn't meaning that either. I was just meaning in general.
I mean, the woman's
maybe people aren't compatible though. Maybe
the woman's got any choice to leave. That's not what I'm saying. That I'm talking for men and women as a critical thinker. I'm saying compatibility in relationships in terms of making things last that don't have issues such as like massive issues that are obviously allowed to walk away from. Do you understand what I mean?
No, yeah, but I'm saying even like if they don't have massive issues, sometimes you could fall out of love with someone. Sometimes,
of course, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
I
said some of the relationships, not all relationships. I'm saying some of the relationships in this day and age. The younger, I
think what's actually happened is society's grown from, as what Courtney was saying, obviously that's an extreme of people had to stay together because your families was like, you stayed together as a family. It was like outraged if you didn't. But women now have a choice. They have careers, they have... we can do whatever we want. Men as well. We all have moved on as a society, and it's not just defined that a man and woman can have sex together anymore. It's being more accepted that people are going to have different sexual preferences, different sexual relations, different sex drives, all that sort of stuff. It's more accepted because the market obviously has been saturated with porn and all that sort of stuff, and people are actually able to go out and freely do what they want to do without risk or fear of judgment, or supposedly without risk or fear of judgment.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. That's what I mean when I'm saying as a critical thinker basis. When I say excluded serious issues, I'm talking about the main mindset of it just being sleeping with someone, not like for any deep reasons. It doesn't have to go like deep. I'm not talking about I've now been locked away for 10 years or I'm with an abusive man. I genuinely just mean there are young teenage girls out there that are 16, 17 years old that have been over-glamorized by society and thinking that it's not been explained that you can actually like a man. You don't have to sleep with him straight away and you can love someone without doing that. And you can have relationships, you can form attractiveness, you're worth more as a woman without that. This is what I mean. And I think men as well, young boys, I think they're pressured as well. You've got to do this and you've got to be in a relationship. So I see so many young kids, like young teenagers, moving in and getting houses at 18. It's great, don't get me wrong, but where's their growth? They don't know how they are in a relationship with a person because they're just jumping in and they think that sex and stuff like that determines their adulthood because it's so over-glamorized and it's all everyone's screaming it's okay. No one's explaining soul ties. No one's explaining emotional irregularity and maturity.
But they're doing it more in schools and that now, though, to be fair. I don't agree with that either because in schools and that, like when I went to school, we were obviously brought up in a Catholic school, we had no sex education at all, none whatsoever. We had children, teenagers and things. I know people that were losing it as young as 14, 15. That was still around then. Do you know what I mean? There was still that's a societal issue as the fact that there is teenagers when they're horny, and when they've got all the hormones and stuff running through their bodies. The first thing they're going to
what mine was at
get
school?
That out there.
Our sex education was they put a video on of a woman with no clothes on giving birth, and then they were like, "This is how babies."
That's what we had,
and that was
cool. Did you go to? I learned about every STI before I was the age of 15 in my school.
My nan used to print stuff off about STIs for me.
We had a full sex education.
Yeah, I had full. Year
education.
6, I got that video of the woman giving birth in year 5 and year 6. By the time I got to year 7, by the time I was in year 9, I knew exactly what protection was. I knew what STIs could lead to infertility. I knew all the important stuff and about emotional maturity during having stuff like that and intercourse. I learned about all of that in school. So maybe it's also our perceptions are dependent on where we've been brought up and what we've been experienced and exposed to as well.
Yeah, because I got none of that. We never got talked about condoms or anything like that because we were obviously a Catholic school. We got thrown a box of tampons one time, a video of somebody giving birth.
We watched a video called Johnny Condom, but that was not at school. That was just me and my brother watched it because it was funny.
I remember just the video of the man and the woman coming out of the shower, and then it was like, oh, and this happens to a man, and then they separated the women and the men, the boys and the girls, and then the girls obviously got told about periods and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what we got, Courtney.
Yeah, that was generally it. But I think, to be fair,
we never got separated.
Different schools in a way, like, even though the curriculum's meant to be kind of similar, like the same, I think different schools, so it depends on where you're from and things like that. Like, they kind of change things around. Like, if there is, you know, like schools that might have like a high percentage of pregnancies, you might have to take charge of that and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
I get, to be honest, I get more from like Catholic schools or religious schools. That obviously clearly makes sense. You know what I mean? There's certain topics that they're not gonna like probably go into. But yeah, that's crazy. I just kind of thought everyone had the same. But then saying that, that probably makes sense why everyone's got different opinions as well in certain things. Like, that's crazy.
Oh, can I ask a mod to do me a massive favour? Can we please mute out Orange Love Hearts? Thank you.
No.
Speak about that program because of the toxic
Actually, yeah, I will.
comment.
Huh?
But this is why they shouldn't lie about sex education though, and like downplay it and go, oh yeah, you met how do mum and dads make a baby? Oh, the stork comes with a fucking baby in a carrot. No,
My kids know where a baby
to be honest,
comes out
from
of.
day one. But if you're honest straight away
now,
and say this
Devon.
is how kids are made, they're not going to by accident have a kid and go, oh, I'm pregnant. How'd you get pregnant? I don't know, because the bird hasn't been yet. You tell them a lie so they think they're safe. Tell them the fucking truth, where it comes from. If they're old enough to ask you the question, be respectful enough to give them the answer. Man, that's shit.
Oh my god, I feel like I'm in a safe zone.
Em said in Sweden we're taught from primary learning about consent, equality, relationships, and I think they should do that here. And I also think they should make teenagers do the freedom program.
What's that?
It's like to do with what's acceptable and what's not, abuse, like financial, emotional, physical, etc. But I just think it's really important for men and women, boys and girls, to learn about it. I've done it twice.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
I'm not gonna lie, right? I wasn't expecting the body count to be the main one and talked about. I genuinely thought that people would come about the religion.
We're warming up to do the toxic masculinity thing because of that
We
adolescence.
need to do religious beliefs.
We're warming up.
I don't talk politics or religion.
So the toxic masculinity, I've not actually seen that film, but it's something that I'm very strong about. And honestly, see, when I mention toxic masculinity, my husband always laughs at me, but I say it a lot. It's my favourite term. But for me, as a mum of a 13-year-old, toxic masculinity is a very interesting conversation. And obviously, I want to, as a mum, learn, one, how I can prevent my son being put into that world and making him feel a certain way and how he has to feel and blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously, I've had these conversations. You know, I've actually shown him some Andrew Tate videos to make him realise what's not right. I sometimes believe that you do have to show the bad to make them understand what is wrong, rather than you trying to sit there and describe it to them. You need to actually show it.
If I caught my kids watching or listening to Andrew Tate, I would get rid of every single device in this house.
Literally, same.
You know what's scary though?
I think it's dangerous because he does make, like, okay, so with the outright misogyny, yeah, he does mix it in with some facts and things that make you go, oh yeah, no, I understand.
And then people think that what he's saying, like everything is correct.
Believable.
Yeah.
That's why my baby dad listens to him and says he's great.
I've never watched it. So has anyone got any like Devon, when you say facts, can you
So there's examples of, he talks about like men taking pride in themselves, and let me think about ones that actually resonate and make
It's
sense.
like he'll use men's mental health and he'll use statistics and then intertwine it with that toxic masculinity, saying that they're the superior like sex type, and then like combine it with stuff like, oh, because we've been so pushed down, you need to stand up and you don't let a woman talk to you like this. You know, that kind of thing. It's It's like mixing fiction and non-fiction, like facts with the fairies, and then
talking as well, isn't he? He's really good at putting his point across, and he speaks calmly most of the time. And like Devon said, he puts some facts in there, and that makes people think, yeah, he said this and that's right, so everything he's saying must be right. But it's so dangerous, so dangerous.
Because
what he usually puts across, is he'll say something like, for every 10 men, there's 5 women out there, and
it's the 80-20 thing, isn't it?
I need you to go and watch him because you'll get really angry.
These 5 women won't go with you because it's not because of you, it's because it's the women's fault that they won't choose you, and all like that sort of stuff.
Do you know the one thing that got me really angry is that when he made the statement, because obviously he's made money off of Cam, right? He lives in where is it again? What's the country called? Starts with an R.
Romania.
Yeah, he lives in Romania. And he literally has like a cam business. So he's making money off these women. But he said that if he ever dated a woman who did cam work, he would expect most of her money.
Yeah.
And that really angered me. And the other thing was the, what was it? There was something else he said. Oh, about the whole thing of the mentality of you go to the gym, your mental health will be sorted.
Yeah, but Courtney, that's what Mary said. She said if my husband were a sex worker, he can come on and give me money, so it's no different.
I wouldn't take all his money back. But the house that he lives in, the electric that he uses, the gas that he uses, I'd be expecting him to at least pay towards our living. Do you know what I mean?
Have you got any videos? You know what it is? Would help. Have you got any videos?
I'll go and find some.
Because it's hard to explain, like saying he says stuff that makes sense. It's hard to explain until you see him saying it. So when he does talk about like mental health in the gym, you've described it in a certain way, but the way that he does break it down makes sense. It's like you go to the gym to.
Does it make sense?
I know what you're saying, then, because I've seen the same
thing. Does it make sense on a factual? Does it make sense on a factual level, or is it relatable for young men?
No,
it would be relatable for young men, I would say.
And relatable. I think it's a bit of both, doesn't it? Because I said this in Jelly's live the other day. I said, I don't like Andrew Tate for that side of it, but he comes out with some good stuff. But that's just to balance it, so he gets some people on board, and then they're on board, and then they sort of stay on board, even though they don't like that. So I don't watch him because I don't like him, because of the way he thinks women are just like objects, doesn't he, sort of thing.
Because my issue is with the gym thing, right, is I strongly believe that everybody should be taught sociology in school, because society is a capitalist society, and I don't want to teach people to suck eggs if you already know, but Karl Marx wrote a theory on Marxism, which is based around the capitalist society that we live in, and within his theory he talks about gender-specific roles. So the idea that women should be at home, the caregivers, etc., and that men should be the breadwinners, go out to work, etc., etc. And within one of those theories is the idea of infantile regression, where you need to have a family, you need to have children to be able to come home. So when a man's had a long day at work, he comes home and he regresses mentally and emotionally to allow him to get back to decompress emotionally, essentially. It's the idea that it's a woman's job to help a man emotionally regulate himself, is essentially the idea. And I have the issue because it's things like that which back up these ideas that the gym is good, the gym is therapy, when in actual fact, I don't feel as though, because of the kind of toxic standards that society has put on men, that is why men are having emotional issues, because they're living up to this extreme standard that it's never, you can't live up to it. You're never going to. That is the issue. So the idea that the gym is going to fix that is just non-existent. So I think when I asked, do you think that his ideas are factual or they're relatable? I don't think they are factual. I think they're relatable because men are looking for an outlet, and the gym is something that men often use. Yeah. But I don't think that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right, if that makes sense.
No, but for a lot of people, the gym works. The gym does work for a lot of people when it comes to mental health, not just men, women as well. Mental health, if you struggle for it, the release you get from the endorphins from going to the gym, it is actually factually good for you. And so it is good, but a lot of what he says is then bullshit.
Can I just say something? Because Emma's so right, and Devon I usually really agree with, but a clock is right twice a day, okay? You know, like, it's, it's 9 o'clock. Yeah. No, but
not
it will be soon. The thing with Andrew Tate is he manipulates nuanced statistics to his advantage, whether that be financially or his mindset. But if you realise, the thing with Andrew Tate is everything is connected to financial gain for him. I look forward to this, Devon. Yeah, I'm not going to have a go at you, but I am absolutely fucking raging. But I've got to go. I'm never going in a box again. He manipulates things to his advantage. If he was... The thing is, like you said with Karl Marx, And it's in reading the works of Karl Marx, people like that, you should always know your enemy, or you should always know things and where they have come from historically. The thing is with Andrew Tate is, first of all, he's not articulate, and second of all, he isn't educated, and third of all, what he says is all for his financial gain. He's not a philosopher, he's not a political writer, and he's not somebody that is actually writing because of his want to change society. What he wants to do is pump and dumps daily. If anyone doesn't know what a pump and dump is, it's when he tells you that a cryptocurrency or something is really good, you all put more into it, you all put your money into it. What he does is take his massive amount out, then he says, hey boys, quickly, blah, 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 and then everyone loses money because he took all their money. That's a pump and dump, Google it. A lot of what he does, his manosphere thing, what he wants to do is control his proletariat that follow him, because he wants them to do what he wants for his own financial gain. And obviously when people do things, yes it is, Devon, yes it is as simple as that. And obviously Devon, if he told you, you know what you should do, you should eat a balanced diet with low glycemic index foods, totally agree with you, Andrew Tate. You should go to the gym to release endorphins and boost your mental health, totally agree with you, Andrew Tate. But that's like, everybody agree, like Candyman, I completely disagree with everything he said, but some things Candyman says I will agree with. But on this topic of toxic masculinity, he says, Andrew Tate says that 80%, I will wait, I'm only going to be one more minute. Andrew Tate says that 20%, 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. That's the problem. We all think what we think. He employs sex workers, he always has, that's how he made a living. But he says to all his men, what you need is a V, somebody that is like Mary, of Jesus and Mary fame. You need someone like that that's never been with someone, even though he's employing and creating an army of women that will be working for men doing that. So he is creating something that he then tells men to be disgusted with and only use for one thing. It's absolutely outrageous. And also what I do agree with what someone says is know your enemy. I think if anyone wants to, you should listen to LBC all day, because you hear other people's opinions. I know, see Chippy's face, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to...
I'm fucking Papa Blaze, not fucking
it says Chippy's beg battle, sorry. Men would say, no, hashtag all men. You need to listen to the other opinion. You need to watch and ingest things you don't agree with. You need to read. The thing is, he started to say that Mein Kampf and Hitler's works, he started to say that there's some good points in there, but that's like saying there are good points everywhere. But what he wants, you've got to look at the motivation of the reasons people are saying what they're saying. Andrew Tate is a prime example. I've been watching the rise of him. I'm now on my last sentence. I have been watching the rise of him for a decade. I saw his Instagram first after Big Brother when he had 9,000 followers. I am absolutely devastated by what he is doing. He's creating an army of incels, of toxic masculinity. And although you may think that that is a good thing because men are taking their power back, men are not. It's going to damage the planet, it's going to damage humanity, and it's going to damage a lot of people's emotional growth. You need to look at what people like Elon Musk are saying about the planet and eco-centric views, and we're all doomed. And I'm glad I'm not procreating, because if I was, I'd be so excruciatingly worried about my children. I don't love anyone because I don't know you all, but I think I'm really enjoying listening to this. And goodbye. And I won't hear any other way.
Cassie, can I just quickly say you spoke everything that I wanted to say. Wait, can I just say, Alicia, I've sent you another background on Instagram, if you're able to check. Thank you. Sorry. Devon, go on. I'll let you finish. And Devon, don't break my heart. Don't be a tater, because I'll cry.
I don't know. Firstly, nobody said that they're a tater. I don't know where this energy has come from.
I didn't say you're a tater. I said I didn't.
I don't mind.
Sorry, you're saying, maybe I didn't make my point clearly, but you're saying, like, he said some interesting stuff, but that's exactly the point. And I worry that you're not drinking the Kool-Aid because you're an intelligent man, and that's rare on TikTok. But it's like he is interspersing either interesting points, correct facts, e.g. gym, fitness, nutrition, with political ideology and social mindset, which is then pushing you into a place that you thought started as helpful, and actually there's a lot more to it.
How they get you.
Yeah, so you described it as like pump and dump, and you spoke about all the crypto and all that stuff, but that's not where he's getting people. That's not where, because I've seen it in schools. He's getting to young men, and the reason that you're not understanding why he's so slick with what he's doing is because you're not his audience. You're not the
I'm
person that he's
understanding
aiming for.
Devon.
So the reason that 1 second, let me finish because I let you rant
God.
for a long time.
Mad.
The reason that I think that you're not understanding is because as you're not a man. So what he's doing is he's sneaking into young men's insecurities. He's being relatable, and that's not what you're seeing, and that's what makes
I'm saying that he intersperses those positive mindset things for men with, and you can also become a great man and make money. Maybe I think you miss his. No, I completely agree, Paige. He's at school starting younger.
No, what Devon was saying at the beginning, sorry, you exactly what you spouted, no one's disagreeing that, but you're not the demographic of people, and you've not got the emotional irregularity to be obviously patterned by his behaviour. Sorry, can I just finish the sentence? Hence how you've just said you've clocked it for 10 years. A 13-year-old boy hearing certain things that he thinks are maybe facts, like Devon was saying, mixed in with all the horrible things he's saying, that's the mindset of the person that he's grooming, and that's what's worrying. Devon never wants to breathe.
I was joking, by the way, when I said it. I was just having a laugh.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm worried because how successful, like you said, what he does is a total, a 360 way to be a man, and he does it really successfully. And perhaps I said it wrong, but I agree. And what I, like him saying facts, I find really difficult. It makes me so upset when men say, yeah, he's got some good facts, because I'm like, oh no,
but I think that's what Devon's saying. You know how you said yourself about the gym thing?
Yeah.
That's what Devon's meaning. He's putting in about how the gym works, right? For him to put out something that is like, let's be honest, it's a little bit of common knowledge.
Yeah.
He's thinking, well, I can then put more extreme things in there that make them think that that's true as well. So he's kind of like, that's what I think he's meaning. He's playing with the minds to make you realise that there's facts that he's saying, while then bringing out negative things which aren't facts.
Yeah, that's my point. He uses nuanced statistics or like general knowledge facts, unarguable facts, to manipulate his audience. I think I explained myself really badly, and I am sorry, and I'm really enjoying what I'm listening to, and I have to go, but I'm going to carry on listening. But I'm sorry.
Cassie, what's your body count?
Sorry?
What's your body count?
Probably higher than most of the people here. And also what I want to say, and I messaged Devon because I thought it'd be an interesting point to debate at another point, is I believe there's a direct correlation with liberal and left-minded, left-wing thinking and absolute tolerance and who cares about body count. Because I've probably slept with half of London, and if somebody asked me, hey, it's our third date, how many people have you slept with? I'd be like, oh, I don't think we're right for each other. Do you care about stuff like that? Anyway, sorry that I've upset everyone.
Half of London.
Yeah. I knew the good looking half with no money.
Wait, before you go, Cassie, please say something in Scouse, because I love it.
Listen, I'm not saying half of London, because obviously it's only the good looking ones, and usually they've got no money, which is why it's not worked out, but because all I want is money. No, I'm joking, but
we want all the money.
I lost count at about 30, couldn't give a flying fuck what anybody thinks, and that's that. And also, I know that Andrew Tate says, you know, girls, you should do all this and that. He wants you to work for him as a S worker, but he'd never marry you. And he tells boys that you shouldn't go with girls like that. So what's he doing? Doesn't make no sense. Anyway, I love yous all. Big up Everton, nil satis nisi optimum.
Fuck off! Get out of here.
Up the toffees.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, is there any men in here from London? If there is, can you put yes if you've slept with Cassie? Oh no, because she said half, so if there's fucking 30 men from London, there's got to be at least one that she's been with.
Liverpool all the way. Yes, anyway.
Gentlemen.
I'm just waiting for Devon to tag me in something.
This is fucking brilliant. Listen, you two men.
IKEA units, you can get out of here.
You lot use too many big words for me. Can we keep it simple when you're talking like fucking big words? Fucking...
Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah, I've actually got a steak bake from fucking Greg's and it's actually hot. What the fuck? It feels like Christmas.
Stop. That's not. I prefer the chicken bakes, to be honest. So, is there any taters around? Because, you know, I'm here. I honestly, see, when I used to do my Tate lives, I used to get like 1,000 people in. It would go mad. Like, you'd get all of the little, like, 20-year-old men that are like, Andrew Tate is God, don't you dare say anything.
Courtney.
Loved him in that live I was in, Courtney. All that Lauren.
Lad, 19.
Brandon.
Huh?
Do you like Andrew Tate? What do you think of him? He's 19. What do you think of Andrew Tate? He's a dick.
Yes.
I look so guilty. You didn't look really guilty, like, I'll just say whatever they think I should say.
What did you say, Paige?
I can't remember.
You said you were in someone's live or something.
Oh, yeah, they all loved, that Lauren, that Brandon, all them lot. Do you remember that live was it in Courtney? They all was banging on about Andrew Tate as well. They loved him. Invite them in here.
I thought, oh, he's got a violation.
The F word lots of times.
I think it's because he tried to he was being kind about Greg, so that's what it is. TikTok didn't like it.
Just to know if anyone does like Andrew Tate.
I know.
Are people still brave enough to say that they like Andrew Tate?
There would people that would literally say that he hasn't done anything wrong and he's committed no crimes and yeah.
Wild.
Don't ever.
I don't understand. Oh, sorry, my child is fully fledged into whatever it is she's
Look
doing.
after your kids.
Do you know what? I don't understand how he's still on social media. Like, that's what really baffles me about this man, how he's allowed to go about pushing this narrative of how people should be and act.
I would have thought because he got arrested for crimes associated with the stuff he was perpetuating online that one of his is he on parole? Because I would have thought one of the conditions of that would have been get off the internet.
Thank you, Upsy Daisy.
That's what I mean. Like, how is it? I just don't understand how he's still on the internet.
I don't know if he really is still much on the internet, is he?
I mean, I still see videos of him.
How is Trump president?
Right, so I found some clips. Let me see if this is anything. So it's
what it is? It's hard to find, because I just looked then, it's hard to find the ones where he isn't being just outwardly misogynistic, but I managed to find them on other people's videos of when they're working out and stuff. And it's about empowering men. The kind of thing that you don't hear very often. He talks about saying, look, I may not be the man now, but I'm going to work hard and I'm going to get over disappointments. And it's that kind of stuff.
He leads people into a false sense of security. That's what he does. He leads young-minded people into a false sense of security of what a man should be.
Is that his looks maxing whole spiel?
Guys, if any children are mentioned in the chat, please mute them. We don't do that here.
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, Devin. Justice for this
It's
child.
also our friend as well. It's only people.
Yeah, we're not here for that. Hi, Ali.
Hi, how's it going?
Not bad yourself.
Not bad. Not bad. Not bad.
Right, what are your thoughts on Andrew Tate?
I think a lot of his stuff that he says is misunderstood. Yes, he said a lot of things that are pretty damaging to younger people and pretty damn right disgusting, but I think it's out of context. Sometimes he's saying things as a joke and people are taking it seriously. You shouldn't probably joke about them things, but I mean, not everything he says is bad. But the only thing it's getting focused on is the bad things he says and not the good things he's saying. That's just my opinion on the whole matter.
Examples.
Andrew Tate has said.
Yeah.
Sorry?
What are the good things you think Andrew Tate has said?
Well, he speaks a lot about men's mental health, men's depression. He speaks a lot about fitness. He speaks a lot about how to make money. He says quite a lot. He says quite a lot of good things, to be honest. But it's only the bad things that are focused.
Does he not go on to say about why men have bad mental health and it's on the basis of women?
When has he said that?
The 80-20 thing?
The what?
They're not connected. That's what I mean by he sprinkles different things in. He's not saying
no, because he
health
has said it is on the basis of women and things as well. Like I've seen him say stuff like that. This is why you also have you guys seen the incel thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't. I
So
don't know
you
what
have
to think of that.
these group of men that are basically basing themselves as incels because women, they don't have women, or women don't want to, the women they want don't want to be with them and things like that. And they've started this whole incel movement where they're totally against women.
Can I read some of the worst things he said?
Yeah, on you go.
Yeah.
If you put yourself in a position to be graped, you must bear some responsibility. Sorry, the page is messing about. Why would you be with a woman who's not a virgin anyway? She's used goods second hand. So people defend depression. They get angry when I say this because they need this bullshit to justify their own failures. By admitting I'm right, they need to work hard to make themselves happy. To avoid the work, argue with me and pretend depression is a thing. By extension, if I have responsibility over her, then I must have a degree of authority. Any man who has sex with women because it feels good is gay. In fact, if you are 40 with less than 5 children, you're probably gay. One of the best things about being a man is being territorial and being able to say that is mine. I'm not a rapist, but I like the idea of just being able to do what I want. I like being free. Read the Bible. Every single man had multiple wives. Not a single woman had multiple husbands. Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, the thing keeps reloading. Basically, it's against... read the Bible. Every single man had multiple wives. For fuck's sake. This is the worst webpage I've ever been on in my life. And I grew up on rotten.com, all right? Basically, he said it's against human nature for women to have multiple husbands, but it's all right for men.
So, Ali, would you say the things he says about mental health and promoting good men's mental health outweighs those things?
But the things that have just been read out have been things that have been taken out of snippets of little clips, or where you don't see the full video, or when he's basically just taking.
What context would you ever use, regardless of whether this is a snippet of a video? What context would you ever use that you have to take some responsibility in you being raped?
Well, this is what's happening here. Is you're assuming that I agree with everything he says. I've turned.
No, I'm not saying that. That's what I'm saying to him, though. I'm saying, but what does he say? What he said there, what Alicia just read out, does that outweigh the good stuff that he said about men and their mental health?
I don't think it outweighs it at all. It's what I was saying. He says some good things. He says some bad things. But the only thing that's focused on is the bad things that are out of context.
Because they're horrific things that he said.
I really like
it's like saying Smittler said some good things and he said some bad things. But what's all that's focused on is the bad things.
Focuses on the good things because the bad things need to be looked at because it's really detrimental to the kids.
He said that his sister goes to feminist rallies and says that Donald Trump is a racist, so they don't talk, and he called his mother an idiot.
And what do you define as good things, Eva? Because good things could be saying your hair looks nice today, or good things can be actually something that has impact.
It's like a dictator. They don't say all bad things all the time.
He doesn't say anything that's good that's actually going to make a difference to the world, but he says so much negative that does in a bad way. Like, the man doesn't care about mental health. I know a lot of men say that he cares about men's mental health, but he doesn't. He openly says multiple times that men can't have mental health. And if you have mental health, then you basically need to get off your own arse and do something about it. Get to the gym and stop sitting at home pondering over yourself. He never says anything positive about men's mental health. He just
again, what he just said there was depression was made up.
Right. Can we hear from Common Sense? On you go, Common Sense.
Cool. So, hi everyone. Mary, I'm gonna describe something, right? And this is like, I'm going to talk about myself in this as well. There's a mindset that is related to the idea of, like, essentially it's called total accountability. It doesn't mean that other people aren't at fault for the things that happen to you, and it doesn't mean that you can't blame other people for the things that happen to you. It means that essentially when something negative does happen to you, how you respond to it is the fact that decides whether this is going to ruin your life or not. So when he's talking about being assaulted, specifically when it comes on to that, there have been things, one specific situation that happened to me where someone gave me candy, right? And at the end of the night, we kind of looked at this and was like, yeah, you did that to me. I understand that it happened. I do blame you for the things that happened. However, at some point, if I wasn't under the influence of alcohol, this would never have happened to me. If I don't drink around, stop.
Why is your name Common Sense? Because you make no common sense, mate.
Just stop.
You're basically saying that if a woman was drunk, then that's on them.
No, that's not what I'm saying to you.
That's basically what you're saying. That's the connotation that you're saying.
No, so this is the thing.
You are.
You're taking what I'm saying and inferring it to other people.
No, I'm not inferring it to, you've literally just said, what? Could you just repeat what you've just said?
So tell me this, right? In this situation where somebody gave me candy and I only accepted it because I was drunk, if I wasn't drunk, would I have took it?
People don't accept being graped.
Answer the question.
Oh my God.
No, yeah, at the end of the day, that's your choice whether you're drunk or not. Being drunk has nothing to do with it.
Right, maybe let's hear him out.
And I'll tell you right now as well, what you're saying is somebody gave you candy. People have offered me candy when I'm drunk. I've refused it.
Right.
Mary.
You chose to take that.
No. But Mary, let's hear him finish because do you know what it is? I want to hear everything he's saying. Rather than us jumping into every little thing he says, I need to hear everything he's saying. I'm not saying he's right. I just mean I want to hear everything he's saying.
But what way did you take the candy? Did you take it? Did he offer and you took it, or did he put it in your drink and you weren't aware you were taking it?
No, so it was a girl that offered it to me.
And you took it because she offered you it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you chose to take that.
Right. And
actual candy.
No, we're not. We're talking about something that led to a completely different thing. Like significantly more happened after I took it. But it doesn't matter. So all that matters is that I took it, right? And if I was sober, I would never have took it. So now in my own life, when I go forward, if I allow myself to be drunk in those situations, I know that I'm susceptible to things happening to me that I otherwise don't want happening, right?
It's given, what was she wearing?
Mm-hmm.
So it can, look, I'm talking about me and myself. Because if I wasn't under the influence of alcohol, that
do you know
wouldn't
the
have
thing
happened
is, you're a male, and we're speaking about what he's saying in regards to females being great. Like, no one can ever take responsibility for something like that happening to them. It's absolutely ridiculous that anyone would defend it. And I really hope that you don't have sisters or aunties or daughters, because what you're saying is actually really dangerous. No one can ever take responsibility for that. Come on now, it's happening to older women, middle-aged women. It's happening to children. Like, come on now, what are you saying?
I actually agree with you.
Can I ask a question, Common Sense?
Go for it.
So I'm going to give you two scenarios. The first one is you're walking down the street with your phone in your hand in a dodgy area and the phone gets stolen out of your hand.
Yep.
The second one is you're walking down the street in an affluent area and the phone gets stolen out of your hand.
Yep.
What's the common denominator in those two scenarios?
Thief.
Exactly. So in the situation where you were drunk and you took the candy, and in a situation where you weren't drunk and you took the candy, but the outcome was the same, what's the common denominator?
The person giving me the candy.
So the problem is not the person who was drunk.
I agree with you.
So let's not blame victims then.
I'm not blaming victims. I'm talking about
You
myself.
are.
How do I now avoid this?
The implication is that you should have not been drunk because it impacted your decision to take the candy, when in actual fact there was always a person there who had the intention to do wrong to you regardless of whether you were drunk or not.
Can I ask you common sense? To get a clarification, are you saying that if a woman chooses to have alcohol, then if something was to happen to them, that's the issue of them because they've chosen to have alcohol? Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
I think you need to change your ways of saying things then. So I'm not going to lie.
What you're trying to say in relation to this.
Yeah,
So,
I'm really confused.
Wait, do you remember when I said at the beginning, right, I'm only speaking about myself, and like the reason why I'm not trying to infer it to other people is because I understand what this sounds like when other people hear it.
You did say that, just to say, having a debate, and sometimes people need to be wrong or disagree is the whole point of a debate, and sometimes let people show the conversation we're talking about, let the people that actually go against it show it. Otherwise, we're all just sat in a room agreeing with each other, and that's also an echo chamber. So you have to I'm not telling anyone how to run a debate, but then that's how a debate needs to be run. Otherwise, we're all going to sit here and nodding our heads in agreement. Like, we need to hear the opposing
Yeah, as long as it's not disrespectful to each other, I think everyone should be able to give their opinion, even if we don't agree, which obviously a lot of us don't. I think people need to.
He was using
He wanted him to finish page. That's why I was letting him speak, because I want to hear. It's the same with Ali. I want to hear people who are disagreeing with us. Like, obviously, as the host, I'm against Andrew Tate. I want to hear from people who are kind of supporters of Andrew Tate or on the side of him to get that conversation.
So,
and the thing is as well, though, the thing that you're bringing, though, common sense, it needs to be in relation to the debate. So what you're saying isn't really in relation to what we're talking about, if you know what I mean.
So, Mary, I'm trying to tell you, the reason why other people will hear it and shrug it off is because they have a similar mindset to me. I recognize where the issue becomes when you actually say that, okay, look, you're creating a situation in which you blame the victim, essentially. That's what happens when people take that same mindset and project it onto other people who are not them. What you're doing is wrong, and you shouldn't do it because you recognize that clearly this person didn't want this to happen to them. They're vulnerable and they shouldn't be taken advantage of. Now, me as an individual, when I'm going out and I'm doing things, I need to recognize that there is a level to where if I drink a certain amount, I'm susceptible to a bunch of things that can happen to me. I need to not do that.
But women do that. We go to the toilets together. We make sure that no one's getting into a taxi by themselves. Like, there is avenues that a lot of women are trying to do, but it doesn't matter. If I chose to walk down the street naked, I know what you're saying, but it's still in my eyes. If I walk down the street naked, my body, it's got no one else's right to touch it.
I agree with you.
Listen, I agree with you, Courtney. I agree with you, Courtney, but from like a critical thinking point of view, right? These are the arguments that they use. It's like the thief one that M used. I've heard them use the analogy of, for instance, if you were going into the ghetto, right, a really bad area, right, Courtney, would you go there with your best watch, with your jewelry untucked, and your diamond earrings in? Would you do that?
Yeah, obviously you're going to do every rational thing to protect yourself.
Right. So these are the arguments that they use. And listen, guys, I'm not doing this to make. I'm just telling you, this is the way that they put things. And some things you go, oh, actually, no, you wouldn't do that. This is what they do. I'm using it as an example, and I'm coming across as an Andrew Tate person. But the reason that I'm able to do this is because I've gone to schools and I've spoken to these kids and heard them tell these stories to me. So we do it. When we talk about, because children send images of each other, and they talk about who's to blame if that image gets shared. And like you teach them from young, it's whoever shared that image. And you talk about why the girl would want to take those images, so on and so forth. And you teach them young so that you don't have this thing where someone can come in with an element of sense where you go, actually, if I was in the favelas of Brazil, why would I wear my expensive watch? And then they turn that into what women wear. It's manipulation.
Yeah, no, I get that. But at the end of the day, I'll always still make that stance that whoever does the crime is the issue. I don't
exactly. Common sense. What we're saying though is that, does that mean that we just shouldn't drink then?
No.
If a woman's been out and been grapes because they were drunk, does that mean we just shouldn't drink?
No.
Does that mean you shouldn't drink because you took something from somebody that offered it to you?
Can I ask common sense, like, what is your thoughts on Andrew Tate? Because I'm really confused, because you're telling us no, but you're giving these I know that you're saying, like, you're talking for yourself, but, like, so what is your thoughts on this person? And taking away things he said, like, what is your thoughts on Andrew Tate as a person?
I think Andrew's an asshole and is a grifter.
Also,
yeah. Andrew, he's done this annoying thing where, like, if you sell hope to people, right, but you create a situation in which their actions actually lead them to being hopeless, they believe you because you look like the thing that they want. So they'll just keep repeating the cycle, and then they'll blame everything else other than themselves for their failures because they look at him and be like, but it works for him. It really doesn't. And it's not the way you should live your life, but that's what they think when they hear certain things, because there's a bunch of different types of mentalities that he puts on the table. And when you look at them from a perspective as an outsider, especially when you're not a woman, a lot of them make sense until you're in the reality of having to deal with that situation. But again, most of them will never be in that situation, so they never have that understanding.
I think the other thing is when you guys read the statements that Andrew Tate has made, right, that are so obviously misogynistic and you go, oh, this is so obvious, and it makes men seem out to be thick, as if to say, oh, how on earth could you follow this? You're cutting out. It's even when Ali's telling you, right, very subtly, there's things, when there are men on the panel saying, there are things that we can relate to that you don't relate to. It's all well and good going in guns blazing, but those things are what's attracting to your young boys and your young men. And we're trying to say to you, we're trying to explain to you, no, there are things that he is saying that make sense to us that's never going to make sense for you. And you need to learn to understand that in order to combat it. It's like I asked the boys, are any of you a feminist? And they all go, no, blah, blah, blah. And they kick off because they feel like feminists do what I've seen on this panel. And I'm not being disrespectful, I just mean it. They feel like it's someone that comes at them with this feeling and they feel like they're not doing anything. When you break down to these young men what a feminist really is, and you turn to them and you go, well, do you believe that women should have equal rights? Do you think women should vote? Do you think such and such? And they go, yeah. And you go, well, you're a feminist. Yeah. And they look at you confused because they think of it as someone that's always attacking them for things that they don't think that they're doing. And then they become vulnerable.
And that's the thing, it's about, and I see what you mean, Devin, like it's about us as women just having an understanding of what it is that men are going through or men feel a certain way so that we as women can educate on that rather than listening to the likes of Andrew Tate.
And don't, like, if Andrew, I think exactly what Devin said, like, it's so very clear. This is why I really, in these situations, I tend to be more calm, because you need to listen to how men are talking, you need to let men finish and listen to how they're feeling, because we've all just sat down and said the issues, and the main common denominator of those issues are men. So if this man's affecting our young boy's mind, then we actually need to take the time and listen instead of combating it and, like Devin said, almost sometimes on the attack. And I get it because we're angry and we're taking our own personal grievances or perceptions into account, so it's going to trigger people. But at the same time, that's exactly what Andrew Tate says women do to men: shut them down and completely take away their voice and don't listen to them in any sense. So if you want to come back and actually listen to and fix the issue at hand, do you know what I mean? Prevention is better than cure. We can all shout and debate about it afterwards. But we as women, we can empathise, we can try and, like, do you know what I mean, have understanding, but we will never understand what it is like to live the life of a man, have formulas of a man in this day and age of society. So of course, when people are saying, oh, I don't see it or perceive it to be that, like, we're not going to be, because we're not the intended target audience. We're the ones that are getting affected and hurt because of the intended target audience. So we need to start letting men actually speak and finish, whether it's toxic or not. There's no point in putting a bandage over it, shouting over them, and then telling, like, repeating to the echo chamber of a room, we know what's right, we know we can't go outside at night, you know you can't jog certain times, but we don't do it. That's what the guy was saying in his sense as well. I got what common sense was saying, it wasn't right, but what he was saying is because of his experience, that made him not go and do that. So we need to sometimes, I think, listen to toxic and non-toxic men, because otherwise, like I said, it's just an echo chamber of we know what's right, and we know, like, how, you know, society should be and how society should be run, but, like, we are not the target audience, and we're never going to experience feeling or having to deal with any of these kind of like situations in life. We're not going to be placed in these same environments as these young boys are.
I've got a clip here, and I'm just going to quickly play. It's a little bit of snippets. I know people are going to say it's out of context, blah, 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 but it's little snippets so that we're hearing his literal voice, all right? So 1 second.
About the fact that most men are basically invisible. She doesn't want to find a nice man. Now she's trying to, like you're saying, chasing a lifestyle, chasing Mr. Promiscuous, chasing Mr. Famous.
I get it. If the red pill movement were around when I was in high school, maybe
I don't know. I thought that was snippets. For fuck's sake, I'm disappointed. Why is there no clips?
I don't think you can take out of context Andrew Tate, because he says mad stuff. Like when he says, I'm not a rapist, but there's no out of context. There's no but, like, do you know what I mean? He just says mad things. I think when people don't use that as an excuse when we play clips, because he still said it. Doesn't matter if the conversation or he went to go say something afterwards. Do you know what I mean? Like, guys, like, he still said it. Like, come on.
Yeah, and what I was saying is what he said, it's not a good thing to say. It's a terrible thing to say. You shouldn't say it. But the thing is with Andrew Tate, whether you like him or not, he's pretty clever, because he's realising that any kind of publicity, whether it be good or bad, is still publicity. So he's still in the limelight. He's still making money from saying good things, he's saying bad things, and the bad things are getting him more famous because more people are speaking about him. If that makes sense.
look, we all know this by. I'm just going to look at TikTok, right? Who's the most known on TikTok? The controversial ones, right? The ones who say the worst and blah blah blah. Like, that's how social media is nowadays. Unfortunately, the good people are not getting looked at and like, oh, they're so nice, they're so lovely. Yeah, it is the controversial a-holes that are getting the more recognition and the bigger voices.
Courtney, these comments came, right? You see those later comments? Those comments came after he sold these boys a dream about believing in themselves, right? About taking care of themselves, about having a strong mentality. There are other quotes that you have to have before you just drop those quotes, because then it just looks like young men just idolize this man based off of those horrible quotes.
But this is the thing, though. We know why young men idolize them. We're not stupid. Do you know what I mean? We know where the idolization came from, because, as you said, he tried to sell them something, and he obviously spoke on mental health and things and that. Like, sorry, what Ali was saying. We get that. But
hi guys, new to the chat, right? What you're talking about?
Jay, Mary was talking.
Let her finish.
Wait, Jay, let Mary finish, please, and then you can get a chance. On you go, Mary.
No worries, Courtney. Nice one.
But what we're saying now is that, yeah, that was a dream. That was bull crap. And this is the things that we need to be talking on. I get that we need to be hearing from men from all sides. As I said, like Ali and common sense and stuff. But the reason why we get so hyped up about it is because this is stuff that's been going on. This isn't just new. Andrew Tate is not a new person. This has been years and years. This has been happening to women. We have to teach our daughters, do you know what I mean? To not go out at night, to not try and drink too much, to stay together in a group. Do you know what I mean? So we're going to be passionate about it, regardless of what this man has sold and what he hasn't sold, regardless of the good things he said and what he hasn't. He's now trying to push out a different narrative, which is toxic.
Yeah. Okay,
to
Jay.
Be fair, Mary,
Free Jay.
No, to be fair, Mary, right? I appreciate what you said. I don't really understand what you're talking about, but men, parents, everything, right? We have to teach our own kids, male or female, we have to teach our own kids to appreciate different opinions, different views. Do you know what I mean? And that's the only way we'll change society.
Not if the view is going to be toxic, and not if the view is a bad one that's going to impact people within society. I won't be teaching my daughter to accept those sort of views.
No, I wouldn't teach my son that. I won't teach my daughter that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But society society deems that you should act this way, you should act that way. Well, I won't teach my daughter or my son to adhere to society, because they should have their own views, they should have their own opinions. And if I spank my kids for being naughty, I'll spank my kids. I don't conform to authority. Do you know what I mean?
What? Did you just say you'd spank your kids?
Yeah, of course. If my lad comes in, right, and he's been a little shit, I'll slap his ass, me.
Okay. Wait. Right. Okay.
I'm going to differentiate. That's just going off to a completely different topic, mate.
You did. This is Devin knows.
No,
Devin.
That's a whole different ball game, love.
No, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this with chest, right? If your child is being naughty, have a conversation with them. Spanking your child, I'm sorry, but if you're gonna come out with the shit, I know what Devin's gonna say, but I know. 1 second, I just need to say this. But it does annoy me, because if your child hits another child or does something that is violent, and your way of responding is by being violent, they're never going to learn, because your response is anger, your response is violence. They're going to think, well, that's fine. That's the way to do it. If someone does something bad to me, I'm going to hit them.
Can I respond to Courtney, please? Can I respond to Courtney? Listen, I'm 52-year-old, right? I'm a nice guy, right? But listen, when I was brought up, right, if I did something wrong, I got a crack. Right? If my son comes home and he's been a little shit in school, Crack. I'm sorry, love. I'm sorry if I disagree. Any one of you can disagree with me, right? I like to think, right, I've done well in life. I've got my own business. I've done well in life. And that's because if I did something wrong, my dad gave me a fucking crack. And that's what's wrong with society. You can't even fucking discipline your own kids. You can't discipline your own kids because society says different.
Oh, did Andrew Tate tell you this? Did he?
No, I don't discipline my kid by violently smacking her because, as Courtney says, I'm basically just saying cure anything with violence instead of actually having conversation.
Hey, Mary, I'm not saying I fucking lay into him with a fucking belt and that like my dad did with me. I give him a crack on the head.
Right, yeah.
We've got to keep the swearing to a minimum.
Right.
Protect his account.
Protect his account.
Can I just say?
You just crack them around the head. That's okay though.
Can I just say, like, we all know about, you know, one punch can kill. So let's not teach people that if someone hits you, let's hit them back, because the consequences of that can be awful, and it's not.
Can we?
Not a good trait to teach.
Can we please not normalise full-grown adults hitting children? Thank you.
Yes.
I disagree, but I'm guessing we will save that for another day.
We also used to beat women back in the day. Will we bring that back as well, or
debate? I'll do debate tomorrow. Debate tomorrow because I'm off all week, guys. I'm here. I'll do about smacking of children. Okay, tomorrow.
Our strength as adults to the strength of a child is
just had to.
Yeah, but nobody's talking WWE them, and nobody's talking immediately. Like,
I see my kids onto the pavement daily.
Chelsea, can you please check WhatsApp 1 second?
That's Paul. Angie, check WhatsApp.
Chelsea's my smile's all right. Chelsea, do an annoying giggle. Come on, do it.
Tap the screens. Get your heart me's in, please. We're on 5K, and that's not good enough. Tap the screen. Nobody's going to talk until we have 100K. Tap the bloody screen.
I thought it was bloody washing.
Hi.
We're not talking till we're at 20K.
Oh.
Question for Mary Motormouth, and it's going to be a juicy one. So get us to 15K, and I'll ask the question.
And you know what, Peppa?
I do want to hear what, because baby. My
name's Ashley.
Ashley, sorry.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Have you got anything to say about?
Welcome, Ashley.
Just adding on from what that guy said, saying that basically, you know, smacking doesn't affect a child. As someone who it happened to multiple times a day as a kid, because my mum was going through addiction, yeah, it definitely does affect you. You know, an adult doesn't know how hard a child's pain threshold is, which can leave really, really damaging marks, as well as on the bones as well. Also, it delays them developmentally as well, socially in school. It'll affect them, they'll become very withdrawn. Educationally, they won't be able to learn properly, and it'll lead on to a lot of issues, especially in adulthood.
Yeah.
Struggling to make friends and stuff. That's something that's happened, but it's wrong. And
before everybody agrees, right? Can I just say that, like, that's not a normal case,
no, it's
though,
not.
Is it? Okay, go on. Sorry.
And as someone who's a parent now, I wouldn't even dream of smacking my child. It's not. No.
The thing is, Devon, I know you say it's not a normal case, but I actually think it happens a lot more than we actually realise.
100%.
Yeah,
I think
that's not what I mean by not a normal case.
No, I think what Devon's trying to say is there's a difference. I personally don't think there's a difference. I don't think there's a difference between one hit and multiple hits. I think it's abuse is abuse. But I think Devon's maybe feeling a little bit different on that. Am I right, Devon?
Yeah. I want my back and forth with Chelsea. Go on, Chelsea. What have you got to say? Go on.
No, I know what you mean. Like, there's levels of aggression, like, isn't there? That, like, you know, no one's... when people say that, you know, they might choose
that sort of discipline to their child. It doesn't mean that, like you and Alicia said, they're WWEing them on the concrete all the time. And I get that, but it's the fact there's a lot of parents that do it just to start with, as very lightly, and it works, and then it doesn't work because the child becomes used to it, and then they get more and more aggressive with it. And that's the problem, isn't it? It's, you might have the mindset to be able to do it in a lighter way.
I mean, for me,
but not everyone does.
Like my mum started off with a just like light smack here or there. Then it got to really hard smack. Then it got to the point where I was having my cheek bitten and my nose busted open. So yeah.
Trigger warning. But at the same time, bro, you mentioned like substance abuse.
Yeah, my mum's clean now. I'm really proud of her. She's done so well. Great, we've got a great relationship now. But if she didn't get what she wanted, substance-wise, I'd be in the firing line. Or if she was coming off something, I'd be in the firing line, and it'd be all my fault.
And actually, can I ask you then?
Sorry, let me go.
What is it in context you think would warrant smack of a child?
Okay, so I will describe it as this, right? Same mothers that are on here saying you should never smack a child, and it's abuse, will be the same mothers that cry when another child who hasn't been raised correctly unalives them due to a complete lack of any discipline or a care for any authority. The same people. Just talk to your child. Well, some parents have just talked to their child, and their child has told them to F off, and they don't have respect for their parents. Then they don't have respect for the school. Then they're going out on the street and not having respect for your child's life.
Yeah.
I'll just put...
So what you're saying then is, by smacking your child, it's going to get more respect than just talking to them or shouting at them?
It's case by case. As we know, humans... Sorry, Ali, go on.
If we get the point across. No, I'm just saying, I kind of get what Devin's saying. Like, if you have done all the approaches, like, I don't advocate smacking children either, but if you went through all the other things, like speaking, asking, try to tell them, and they're not listening, maybe sometimes it does need to happen. I don't advocate it, but maybe sometimes it does have to happen.
But I'll be honest, I don't think... See, the parents that we're talking about, I don't think they've even tried that. They actually just shout at their children.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is
people not being as parenting.
People need to remember that when you... Like imagine when we're all sitting here on TikTok and we're shouting in boxes at each other. No one's listening. No one can hear each other because you're in the moment, you're angry, you're heightened. So they're not going to be able to respond to it in a good, controlled manner. So what you need to do, I'm not trying to sit here and give parent advice because, you know, I'm a parent, but I'm not a perfect parent. No one is. But my honest opinion, I think the best response is if you, as a parent, feel angry, remove your child from the situation or remove yourself from the situation, and then have that conversation eye-to-eye level and talk to them like a human being. No one is listening when shouting is happening.
Exactly. Understand your child's frustration before straight away going into a reaction. And I think that's where it's lost sometimes.
Yeah, well, what worked for me is when I was young, my dad just totally ignored me, never spoke to me at all. And that worked for me worse because I was sitting thinking, I wish he would just shout at me. I wish he would just go mental at me for what I've done instead of not speaking to me for about a day. And I think that worked for me. That just worked in my situation, in my dad's situation, but it wouldn't work for everyone's situation. Like,
Devin, you just said, but it's an individual thing. But in my honest opinion, I do get what you're saying, that everyone's different. But at the same breath, if a child is only ever known to be shouted at, they are going to be the same behavior. They're going to see that anger is the best response in every situation. So even as a young child, if you're being shouted at as a toddler or whatever, and instantly your response is like that, you're going to grow like that. That's what I'm trying to say.
100%.
It's really different. This conversation's too broad spectrum because things like no one's bringing into things like cultural differences. I got told, like, I got shouted at, I had a few smacks and stuff like that, but it worked. Like, I went out, got a degree. There's other people that are around me in my family that had much more of a mollycoddling upbringing with different needs, etc., that I've gone a lot more the other hand and gone completely downhill. I just think, no, you shouldn't smack kids, but I don't think Devon's saying smack them every time they're naughty. I think he's trying to say things like there is cultural playing differences. Like there's parents that are a lot stricter in certain cultural differences, and you can't disrespect their cultural upbringing with their children when their kids are all doctors, lawyers, solicitors, and doing massive things. Do you understand? In certain cultures or races or religions, on an individual basis, no one should be biting their flipping child. That's abuse. That's not discipline. That's not light discipline. That's not smacking.
Exactly.
I don't think Devon was going on that sense either. But me personally, like, no, I don't hit my kids, but I also take into consideration cultural differences, societal pressures and privileges before saying, oh no, a bad parent is this if they done this. At the same time, the only time I would ever agree with disciplining a child like that is some of you kids that are running around as 13-year-olds with nanks in their hand, trying to like do to other kids. Maybe if you did get a little clip around the ear, you would have been running around doing that. So they're the kind of different situations maybe. But on an everyday basis, I don't think anyone agrees with smacking kids for no reason. Like, I think it's crazy.
No, and I get that, but what I'm saying is, cultural differences or not, it's literally in the law of the UK. So if us living in the UK, culture or not, it's literally the law to hit a child. Full stop.
Yeah, no, there's lots of things that are against the law, though. That's why it's having a debate, Courtney. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's loads of things that are against the law, but we still debate why men shouldn't grape. That's heavily against the law. That's not. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's what I meant. From my point of opinion, is I just think there's cultural differences, and it's not right. I'm not saying it's right to do this or to do that, but I'm saying having debates is being a critical thinker. It's having the the ability to discuss without judgment, because when judgment comes in on personal perception, that's when I think a debate is then just like a personal debate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand why certain people raise their kids in certain ways or a bit more sterner, but then other parents may be different. Do you know what I mean? And I think, like I said, on an average basis, everyone agrees that you don't just go and smack children or like randomly go and hit kids. That's not okay. You don't do that.
I know in a lot of like African like type cultures, like the mother's usually very dominant, and you know that's one of the ways that she sometimes that's one of the ways that she likes to stay dominant, to show that she rules the roost and you don't dare disrespect it. And like sometimes the approaches are very, very, very heavy.
Oh, my husband's texting me as well.
It can affect children massively.
Hi, is it Kayla?
Hi, hello, hi. I'm a parent of a 13-year-old, and basically, I've never had to physically discipline my child or anything like that. I would never do that. I do discipline my child in a way where I'll take things from her if she's disrespect. So I'll take her phone away from her, the games, because I think that's the only way that they're going to learn. But I would never physically ever hit my child or anything like that.
I know, sorry, Kayla, but for me, like, the way I see it as, in life, I think we need to look at the root of the problems rather than instantly. So rather than us going, well, that child is now misbehaving now, why do we not look back to the beginning of that? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if we find out that parent is all that parent's done is shouting at that child rather than actually disciplining the child in a way that actually would work, rather than shouting at them constantly, and then they've got to a point. I'm sorry, in my opinion, it isn't. I know that the child is old enough to realise what's right and wrong, but then the parent in a way has almost failed that child as well.
Right, no, Courtney, people do this because it's functional. Like, the only reason why people do violence is because at some point it's functional. There have been 2 kids, right, that bullied me in school. Actually, no, one was outside the school, one's when we were older. Like, my mom took me to his dad's house. His dad heard what had happened and saw the size of me and the marks that his kid had left on me. His dad beat him in front of me, and I promise you, he didn't bully anyone else for the rest of school. For the next 12 years, he didn't bully a single person. His dad did it one time. The second time, this person pulled a nank on me. My mom took me to his nan's house. We were 15. His nan did the same thing straight away in front of me, because that's what our parents are like. They're all Jamaican. They all work the same way. If I did that to someone's kid, just doing it in front of you, my mom will do it in front of you. After that, you're never going to put your hands on that person's kid again. You will never do it again, because that happens. It resets your whole mindset. The things that are going through your mind when you're like, You have some kids that are just unruly because their parents will back their case and their parents will protect them. If you know that if you bully somebody else's child, the one person that you can think that you're going to run to is that's going to be the person that will terrorize you. You won't do it.
But
I guarantee you. A lot of the reason why you go.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, it just doesn't make sense to me, like, punishing violence with violence. It does not make sense to me. I'm sorry. I'll never understand that.
Take the violence. Okay, take the violence away, okay? I'll give you this example, right? So there are statistically a lot of single women in the world, and single women get a lot of hassle and they get a bad name, so on and so forth. Let's say you're forgetting things like nuance. So let's say this woman was raising a boy and his father wasn't around, or maybe he had them around or something like that. They no longer have their father. That child could be angry at a number of different things. That mum could be talking to that boy, trying to discipline him, and it not working due to there not being a respect level there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then what do? What does that mother do if there's no respect?
You can look into other ways, though. As somebody just said, is you go in and you take everything they like. Take everything out of the room. They get nothing.
I tell you
they
what.
They get grounded. They get nothing.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work.
Kayla, can you give me statistics that show that by smacking your child, it automatically makes them disciplined and automatically makes them listen to you?
I'm going to retaliate.
I tell you what.
Wait, retaliate? How can you retaliate against your parents?
If you physically smack your child, if you smack your child, they're going to retaliate back because
that's the mentality that I'll never understand.
Wait, no. So Devin, so this is also why we think that's the reason why I thought it's a cultural thing when I was little, because there's no way. Like, this is also the reason why single mothers that beat their kids it's a completely different dynamic to when there is a dad in the home, especially when the dad isn't the one doing it, the mom's doing it. The whole thing it's different. If your kid's retaliating, that entire dynamic is broken.
But to be fair, she isn't completely wrong. Like, so as myself, as a mom, maybe you're going static there, I don't know what's happening. But if I had, I've got a 13-year-old son, right? And if I was a single mom and I went and smacked my child and my child then decided to be violent back, right? You could sit there and say, oh, but the level of respect is completely gone. But we're already sitting there saying that the level of respect is gone because that child's not listening to you. So the respect is not there in the full stop.
Oh, I think what I say, like, when I say cultural, Courtney, like, everyone's saying but no one's listening to the people, the cultural differences. Like, I would never, and I was unruly, listen, I could never retaliate, whether it be shouting,
I'm the same though. Like, if I retaliated towards my mum or dad or that as well, that respect there, and especially my grandmother, like, there's no way.
I'll tell you something, it didn't give me respect at all. When anyone lifts their hand at me now, I flinch.
I just,
I can't help it. It's because I'm just, because my brain's so scarred from being a child.
Sorry, just...
I don't know what's happening to your internet, Pidgey. You're really, in and out.
I know, it just randomly just lagged out of nowhere and everyone was going, that's all I could hear.
Sorry, Pidgey, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, the cultural difference is insane. Without, not even talking about smackings or anything like that, I'm talking culturally. I don't know many, say, for instance, I'll say Caribbean brought up families that would even shout boo to their parents. Out of a respect thing, I'm saying. Nothing to do with smacking. I know loads of Caribbean kids ain't been smacked, do you know what I mean? There's been soft parenting too, but I'm talking cultural difference-wise. Where people are brought up and how they're brought up, I think, can make a massive difference because, there's a lot of kids that may have been smacked in certain cultural places or certain Caribbean households. None of us are sitting here crying no, we're not emotionally, underdeveloped or anything like that. Yeah. But we're also very respectful of our parents. And like I said, there's doctors, there's lawyers, do you know what I mean? So I think it is exception to rules and circumstances based upon each individual subject, because a lot of what people are saying, when a lot of people have come up cultural difference wise as well, saying, I was disciplined, that's abuse. That is nothing compared to what people are saying with light discipline. Yeah. Or in certain families back in our days, even back in our days, yeah, when people say the extreme old belt and blah, 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 but that's still like the extreme. Do you know what I mean? On an average back in our days, it wasn't that we wasn't getting abused like that. And that's not what smacking was like when us like older people would get, do you know what I mean, smacked into that kind of situation. So
I think people are confusing. I think people are confusing slapping with abuse and continuous abuse.
Yeah.
I think what the people who are coming from like a smack background, it's like if you took something too far, you got a smack, and you learned your lesson. You went, if I do this, if I get this look off Marjorie, she ain't messing around. I'm gonna get that smack.
My God.
And it's not a fear. It's not a fear like I fear this person. I scared, because they cater for you and they love you and they feed you and they look after you. But what they're teaching you is this: if you go too far, if you're a bad person or whatever, there's a repercussion, and you take that lesson. I'm not talking about let's beat them if they look funny. It's about getting like a respect. And sometimes fear. Yeah, sometimes fear. I'll put it there.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be smacking fear into
But do you not think, like, in this day and age, like, society's changed a lot, though, from when we were younger? Society has changed so much. Like, when I was younger, I was brought up the same. Like, you always respected adults. Even when I was, like, 15, 16, if an adult older than me came into the room, you got off the seat and you gave them a seat. My granny would still whack me around the side of the head if I said something, do you know what I mean, funny or cheeky or something like that. And I had massive respect for them. But nowadays, what you have is you have a lot of like parents, like including myself, which I probably could be a lot better with that, is in that teaching them to actually respect adults and the way that, do you know what I mean, that you are, even around older people and things like that. A lot of kids these days have no respect for anyone.
Devin, I've got two scenarios for you, right? Are you ready? So we've got one scenario: a child is misbehaving, right? 15-year-old, right, misbehaving. He's carrying around with bad things that could end up harming someone, right? And he comes home because the parents found out and decides to give them a smack to teach them a lesson for having those weapons, right? Now let's look at a different scenario, right? That kid is walking about the streets with that, right? And the police decide to detain them and then gives them a smack. Is there a difference in those scenarios?
Yeah, so in those scenarios, you've already failed as a parent. I'm telling you now, right? The fact that your child is choosing to go out and do that means that they haven't been raised from the ages before that to know right from wrong. And that's the thing. Once you get to that stage,
I don't agree with that.
Wait. Let him finish what he's. Sorry, guys, because I asked him a question. I want to hear what his response.
Just my opinion. I know a lot of parents get upset when you use the word failed, right? And because they see it as a major negative. Good parents, amazing parents, can still fail as parents. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. But ultimately, your goal hasn't been achieved. That's to fail. And people get really offended by that. I think that if you haven't taught your child to love themselves and respect themselves and to think in a certain way, they would never take that out because they value life. So once you get to 15, I think...
Yeah, but Devin, honestly, with the scenarios I've given you, right, you've got a parent who smacks, right, for them to teach a lesson, but if the police was to do that, there would be a lot of repercussions of it. So what is the difference? That's what I'm trying to ask.
I get what you're saying, because the police wouldn't be doing that out of love. Sometimes you do things that it's like training a dog. You train them to give them the freedom. You train your recall so that if your dog goes to run in the street and die, you can stop that. You do these things and you teach these lessons so that your child ultimately can be the best that they can be. It's out of love. A policeman cracking your child's head in is not out of love.
But I personally, with my dog, I taught my dog with positive things. No thinking, like, I've got a beagle. Beagles are so naughty. Like, there's words can't describe. The dog would literally be in amongst a bin. I've got to put a bin in a cupboard. This is how bad it is with beagles. But I've never, ever had a situation where I feel like my response to her was to grab her by the back and like that. It's to teach. It's my always thing is to teach the positive behavior. So giving a treat when the good behavior is happening and not giving them a treat when the naughty behavior is happening.
Can I just say one thing in reply to Devon when he mentioned about it's about the parents, not necessarily. You can teach your child to be the best person, but do you realise that kids are very peer pressured at a young age, whether it's to do with a gang or anything? So if that child could be shown all the right things by the parents, but when they're in it with a gang or with the wrong people, they can get peer pressured and to do that. So it's not necessarily the parents that is.
That's still the parents' fault. Kayla, I know this is going to sound mad. Yeah? And this is just my opinion. I'm not telling anyone to think like me. I still think that is the parents' fault, because a child who has learned certain things won't be peer pressured. And when I say failed, it doesn't mean that you're rubbish. Like you said, a parent can do everything right. Yeah. Humans are going to make their own choices. But me saying you failed doesn't mean that that's your fault. It just means that you failed in your goal. Like, I could be taught all the things in the world and then be put in a position where someone says, hold this for me. Now I can take the lessons that my mother's taught me and go, I know this isn't going to go well. Or I'm not going to feel comfortable enough to turn around and say no. Like, but if my mum had installed that in me, I feel comfortable to turn to that person and say, no, I'm not doing that because I know it's not right.
I'll be honest. Like, I think the thing is, like, every parent thinks and hopes that they're doing the right thing. It doesn't mean they are. It's hard to say, but like, I'll be making a lot of mistakes. I'll make mistakes still as a parent. Like, I'd like to sit there and think I'm always doing the right thing, but we can't always say that we are, because what you say is the right thing and what another person says is the right thing are two different things. It's the same when people are saying that they're like, Jay came in that box and said, I'll happily smack my child if he's misbehaving. He thinks that's the right thing.
I think there's alternatives I think there's alternatives to discipline your child. It doesn't always need to be by smacking. I was smacked as a child. It didn't do me no harm. Does it mean I'm going to go and put that onto my child and smack my child? Absolutely not.
I just personally worry about the strength. That is my big issue, right? Chelsea said it herself that one hit, you don't know what can happen with that. And I think adults, when they're angry and heightened, they might not always be able to control what that smack is.
Wait, Courtney, so you know when you said that, like, everyone's trying to do their best as a parent, I think this is where the disconnect is. Some people aren't actually trying to do their best. They just want to fix the situation immediately at the time, and then they're abusive people. Those people overcompensate to a level that no one else would agree with. Like, they will be looked at, even within cultures where people do hit their kids and be like, yeah, that's not cool. What you're doing right there is undescribable outside of the word abuse. And like, lots of people look at it like that. But the issue is, when you come from a culture where this is practiced, people apparently treat it as if it's normal, and then you have. So basically, there's a bunch of kids, right? Especially in my culture, where if you look at them, you would think that, oh, they weren't like hit when they were kids because they're not disciplined. Like, no, those kids were hit the most. That's why they're unruly, because them and their parents never had a good relationship in the first place. Their parents didn't love them as they should have been loved, and now they're just out here being violent, undescribable, like little nightmares. There's a bunch of kids like that who come from the culture who have been beat, and it didn't work because it was never intended to actually work. It was just intended to make their parents feel better at the time.
Yeah. Do I think a parent smacking the child once is abusive? No, I don't. Do I think a parent beating the child is abusive? Yes, I do. I think I personally wouldn't do it, but if somebody wants to then that's on them. That's nothing to do with me. Or if they're beating the child, then that's a totally different story.
Oh, wait, Courtney, I'm going to point something out as well. The actual, like, the worst part of being beat isn't the actual beating. Like, it's not that. It's the bullshit that happens before that, because you get told sometimes, go get your dad's belt, not your belt. Go get your dad's belt. And if your dad's belt ain't there, they're going to hit you with some next random object. And God forbid that object breaks, because it did once. I looked at my mom and she looked at me. I'm like, yeah, just try it again, because I don't know what you would try. Just go get the belt. Just whatever you're going to actually do. This is you're just doing it for you at this point, because I'm not going to learn anything from this. And you've realized that I'm at an age where this is not working anymore. So you either send my dad or you just leave me alone, because the beating is just not going to work. But some people can't get that out of their minds. And because they want control so bad, they just continue to hit their kid.
I'll be honest, for me, like, so I had a backhand on the leg a couple of times from my granddad. I never really got anything from my actual parents, like, well, my real dad, but like that's a different story. That was abuse. But in the terms of a smack, I got it a couple of times. A lot of the time was emotional fear that I got. So I got told a story of this like man who was, you know, if any children were naughty, he's going to throw you in a well in this bag. He was called Mr. Simpson, and it still stays with me. Like I got like emotional scarring and fear in that way rather than just a physical hit, which in a way was not great either. I feel that that's emotionally damaging.
Yeah, this shit is psychological. There's more psychological parts to it than the actual physical.
And that's just me, like personally, I as a parent, I've chosen to go the opposite of that. I've chosen, and I'm not gonna lie, I could just be blessed that I have a very good, well-mannered child. It's worked well for me. I've never had an issue. Like, he skipped class once, he got punished for it, and he's not done it again. Like, I could just be
I think your experience maybe had you ready to have that approach, because I feel the same as you, right? I don't, listen, even after what I've said, right? I don't think you need to hit your children, ever. There are so many punishments that are so much easier and smarter that hurt them way more. Deleting their saved games, taking a game off of them. These things, they all work, but it has to be from a certain base. All kids are different. So when I say this, I'm not saying it as everyone should be smacking their kids. I'm saying that like there are different religions, there's different ways that you're going to have to teach different kids.
Yeah. You see, like when you say like the game thing, do you see how quickly they go from misbehaving to behaving? As soon as you say, give me your phone or give me your controllers, they go from being disrespectful to good as gold within 10 seconds.
Quickly.
Yeah, within 10 seconds.
Live clips, that was Jordan.
Can I ask a question on what's everybody's thoughts on gentle parenting? Gentle parenting is so you'll sit down with the child and you'll discuss like what they've done wrong, how they're feeling, what's made them do that. That's kind of like gentle parenting.
I suppose that's like the way, like I would, like that's how I would expect a conversation to happen with my friend. Do you know what I mean? Like if me and a friend had an issue or whatever, I would have that conversation. This is the thing, I am a firm believer that we need to stop treating kids like idiots. Do you know what I mean? Like I've always been the case of children need to be...
I agree, Annie, though. Yeah.
Like children need to... I'm not saying it works for all, Devin. I'm just saying that I personally think that children need to be able to learn respect, but by having conversations, and life will generally be conversations, not arguments and not shouting. So having a conversation and making them understand, if you do this, this is going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Having that conversation and making them realise what is going to up.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Go on, you go, Grumpy.
Right, Grumpy.
Right, so basically I've been listening to this in and out, obviously, and it's delved so far into different avenues. I believe that our generation, because we're all in our 30s here, yeah? We're the last generation of getting a clip around the ear roll, getting actually told off to the point of, fuck, let me not do that again. Yeah? Whereas now, the kids are unruly. Parenting at the moment is far too soft. Yeah. I'm not talking about giving somebody a whack. Yeah, I haven't ever hit my kids. I just need to give a look and say, yo, pause, and then be like, all right, cool. Yeah, and it's a case of I won't ever do that, but they know, like, shit, do you know what? Let me calm down a little bit now. He said something, I need to calm down. But kids out there are bad. My age group growing up, we was naughty, yeah, but kids out there now are bad.
They are bad, I agree.
And they need disciplining properly. I'll go to a certain extreme now, yeah. There's a lot of single mums out there and stuff like that, single parent households, yeah, where they haven't got a dad to look up to and they haven't got any serious role models to look up to. So they will, this is delving into something earlier as well, they will go to the internet, they will look at the Andrew Tates, and they will sort of go towards that side of things, where you need to just pull them back. You may not get along with your absent parent or whatever, but they need to have a strong male person around them. So they don't delve off into the Andrew Tates. They don't delve off looking at that guy over there driving a BMW, handing out trainers to the kids, being like, come, like, work for me. Like, I'll buy you a pair of trainers.
Yeah, can we, sorry.
Like, do you get what I mean?
Sorry, Grumpy, I totally get what you're saying, but can we also not say that has to be a dad? Can we just say like just that support? Because the thing is, like, I get what you're saying, but the thing is, like, the world has changed. It doesn't need to be a dad. It doesn't need. It doesn't need to be a man. I'm sorry.
Courtney, why do you think it doesn't need to be a man? This one's interesting.
Because there's lesbian couples. Like, there's like so many. Like, the world has changed. You know what I mean? Like,
no.
2 women are adopting.
I'm just talking about a typical household here.
No, I know, but we can't.
It's typical across the board.
No, but it still does, because when you say that there needs to be a man present, it is still taken away that there could be a couple that are lesbians, and do you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say.
That's the problem, Courtney. That's the problem. You see when you say that, right? You see when we were having that discussion earlier, and the women saw it in one way, and there were men coming saying, no, but there's something that these boys are gravitating to that you're never going to understand. Like, I hate to say it because I never believed in it, because obviously I was raised in a single parent home with my mum, right? And I didn't feel like you need a male influence in your life. The truth is, as I got older and I learned certain things, there's only a man can describe certain things to another man. Otherwise, you're left like learning these big lessons on your own. And I hate to say that it has to be a man for a boy, but there is something.
I do think that boys need a positive male role model in their life. And just for example, things like my boys, if they're kicking off, I know I can ring their dad and they'll listen to him. Whereas with me, it's not the same. Like, to an extent they will, but if they're like kicking off, I'll be like, right, I'm ringing your dad, because that's what they'll listen to. And when I think of my brothers, because my dad and my younger brother's dad, they weren't too present, and they needed a male role model or influence or something in there. Like we had my granddad and he was great, but I just feel like boys, in most cases, I'm not saying all, but in most cases, boys do need their dad. Like my daughter, I would never say to her, I'm going to ring your dad.
Mm. But I think you could get it with a grandparent. Like, you could have a granddad or like an uncle.
My granddad great with my brother, but my brother went off the rails like badly. Yes. And I just feel like if he had his dad around more, it probably wouldn't have been so bad. Like, there's only so much my mum could do as a single mother to a teenage boy who was going to do what he wanted.
And this is the thing, Devin, I get that you're talking about how your experience, and that's how, you know, it's something you've lived through. It's not like it's just an opinion, it's actually something you've gone through and things like that. But I just think in this day and age, the world has changed. And I feel like when we have the conversation about like the single parent, of course there's going to be a bit of a stress, because that single parent is probably working potentially a lot of hours to be able to.
I'm not saying that like single mothers can't bring boys up, because they can. Of course they can, and you can raise a well-rounded, respectful male. But I just I think in a lot of cases it's just easier if you've got a good dad there, not a shitty one, a good dad, a good role model, you know.
Wait, so Courtney,
about things that happen to you as a man, like there's some things that you'll never, doesn't matter what relationship you have with your mother or a female in your life, there are going to be things that you will never ever talk to them about. It doesn't matter how open you are with them or how much you love them. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, Courtney, so here's the issue, right? When people are looking at the whole Tate thing and like, why is Tate popular? And then they make the idea that, well, there's lots of boys who grow up in a single mother household and lots of them are okay. It's like a third of them are okay, because like a third of women can correctly culture a boy without their dad being there. And you can look at the statistic, like statistically, they're not going to do pretty well if they're raised by one parent, because they just don't have the same level of quality of life. Yeah.
Do you think that's not just down to the fact that that parent might not be able to give them as much of attention? It's not about the fact that, because that could be also the same as a man could be in the same situation as a woman.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's not about because, a man's not been in this situation and a woman's not been in the situation. In my honest opinion, I think it is the fact that that parent might not be able to give 100%. And I'm not talking all single parents. I'm talking do you know what I mean? Like Alicia is a single parent and does an amazing job. Do you know what I mean? I know the dad's around, but does an amazing job, and she has 3 kids. But there is parents out there who unfortunately has to work probably 2 or 3 jobs.
It's always going to be easier with 2 parents because it's half the workload. I'm lucky in the sense that my children's dad is very present in their life, and it's very much 50-50 with them. So I'm lucky with that. Like, I can't imagine raising my children alone, that a lot of my friends do, with absolutely nothing from the dad. So it's hard, but I don't think that it's fair to ever say that single parents can't do a good job with their kids, because there's many kids that have grown up, like I was raised by a single mum, and I'm all right.
That's not what I'm saying. And that's not the issue.
No, I didn't say you were saying that, but if you're going to bring stats, like, you need to bring stats, not just throw out, a third of whatever. Do you know what I mean?
All right, so I'll say it a different way. The reason why it doesn't work the way that you're saying it does is because the kids those specific boys don't want a woman to be a role model to them, because that's not who they think they're going to be at 40. They think they're going to be a man, so they need to look at men.
I think the difference with me and my brothers is that I'm a girl, and my mum, like, I didn't give a shit if I saw my dad or not, or if he was there or not. Like, I have a relationship with him now, but it didn't bother me. But the boys, it did bother them. My brothers, it did. So I'm speaking from my own personal experience. Like, my kids love their dads, and the boys, I can't imagine them not having a positive male role model around them.
Oh, God.
Mustafa,
why can't he just do his little dance?
Devin.
Because we're not exploiting people in Syria today, okay?
No, but we're not making it, like, let him do his dance while we talk about spanking.
Oh my God.
Devin!
Just for 5 minutes, just for give him do a little 2-minute jig.
For God's sake.
So what would you guys do?
Please
What would you guys do in a situation where you have a child who says 8 years old, because I've witnessed this myself, an 8-year-old child swearing, being racist, walking around with bats, causing a nuisance. What would you do in that situation as a parent?
Batter my kids.
Thank you, Alicia.
But I just, like, this is what I'm saying. My boys are 10 and 11, and I'm thinking when they're a teenager, like, I remember how my brother was with my mum, and my boys are almost taller than me already. So I'm thinking, like, I don't think they would ever disrespect me in that way, because they've been raised well, and they very much have respect for their mother.
Please, one big
Mustafa, okay, Mustafa, that's fine.
No talking, just dancing.
But I've lost my train of thought because of Mustafa. But, like, I can't imagine being on my own and raising a teenage boy, like a 14, 15, 16-year-old boy like that. I don't know, I'd be manhandling them if they were messing about being bad. I'd manhandle them around the streets.
Do you both think that you have the respect already, though? That you
No, I don't think any. This is what I mean. I think a lot of parents, a lot of people, like, we're all great parents, we're all wagon parents, but I really hate if you do this and my kid will be that and blah blah. No one knows what their kid's going to be like. I've seen the most great parents produce crackheads. Do you understand what I mean? Like, and kids can get unruly, like, and it's ridiculous. Like, everyone gets so defensive. No one's saying, like, when people are saying about single parents or single mums, it's great, Rue, look at us go. But number one, intentionally, it took 2 people to make a child. So, of course, it's going to be always better if there was 2 participating parents. It's never going to be worse. If 2 good parents are there helping each other, helping raise the kids, it's always going to be a better situation. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You can still be a great person, a great single mum. Your kid's still going to be great. But, of course, it's always going to be easier and better if there's 2 people there. I've got, like, Jaden, I've got a 14-year-old. Thank God his dad is around. Like, I'm not saying he does the most or does the best, but his dad's around and he loves his dad, right? But Cairo, he's got no male...
We love Cairo.
He's got not one single good male role model in his life, or a man that hasn't done something, do you know what I mean, out of the kindness of just their hearts, or got up, and not because they're a dad or because they're a grandparent, like, actually got up. Like, Cairo's dad he's never seen him, runs away from him in supermarkets and stuff like that. I'm a great mum. I know I'm a great mum. My son is a beautiful, amazing, intelligent boy, but I am terrified for his emotional regulations when he's a teenager, because I don't have the facilities that attend and adhere to every single male hormone and feeling that he's going to have, and that I've seen my son go through, but then go to his dad too. Cairo hasn't got that. Yeah, his brother, but then it's that kind of horrible situation, Devon, where it's that over-idolizing your kid and having to put an older child in the responsibility of learning and teaching when an adult man should be there in the first place. It's a toxic cycle. So it's that we are great single mums, but every boy, I'm sorry, like if there's a good man involved, of course, there's always benefit from having them there.
So
for the background, Dan.
His brother will naturally take that role, though. Like,
yeah, to an extent, but it's not ever going to be like a. It's his brother, isn't it?
And don't forget, Cairo watches Jaden go to his good dad's house. That's another horrible, hard thing for him. He visibly can see that Jaden's got an amazing, active dad, and Cairo's at home every day, gets left. He doesn't go to his dad. And not only not having a dad, you're forgetting when your dad and the man's not involved, that whole part of that family majority of the time won't be involved either. So Jaden's got a dad, an extra nan, a granddad, cousins, where Cairo's solely dependent on me and the females in my family.
Can I just... sorry, you go.
No, sorry, go on.
I just want to say the moral of the story is, if you have a child, right, do fucking better.
Yeah. I don't know how people are walking around.
Not on one fucking person. It's on both of yous.
How are people walking around like they haven't got a child? And like my dad, he moved to China when I was 13, but my dad's side of the family, I've always been close with them, always seen them. They've always had us go over, whatever. So I was lucky in that. But like when Paige says to me about Cairo, it's so sad.
So, Courtney, I got a question for you, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that misogynistic men listen to women?
No.
Do you think that most men are misogynistic?
No.
Really?
Good question. I see where he's going. I see where he was going. Then. Go on.
So I think it's the same with everything in life. I think there's always going to be a level of I don't know how to say this. There's always going to be a level of you've been hurt, so you're going to feel a little bit hurt towards that people who's hurt you. Do you know what I mean?
But do I need to be hurt to feel like you're inferior to me?
No, I think you can have misogynistic traits, but not all men are misogynistic in behaviour.
Yeah, but like, do you need to be hurt to become misogynistic?
No, I don't think you need to be hurt to become misogynistic.
Okay, so
I think you could be brought up to be that as well. I think hate could be a trait that's taught from parents.
Right, but how early do you think that happens? Like, how early do you think that boys get taught to be misogynistic?
And maybe we should move them to
from the birth. I mean, well, not from birth, but you know what I mean. Like, I think so. Like, I think it could be if the dad is misogynist. Like, for instance, they will be watching their behavior, and unless they are taught different and being able to learn their own path and educated that that's the wrong opinions to have and the wrong feelings, they're still going to continue that way, because we learn everything in life from our parents. It's the same with, bigotry. We watch our parents be bigots. And unless we're educated differently, unfortunately, we might end up going down the same path.
Right. So in the world that
adolescence, because the reason I wanted you to have seen it is because I have a view that I feel like the father got blamed for a lot. I can't have it. I'll wait for you to watch it, and then
I will watch it tonight. Okay. How many episodes is it?
Like 4?
Like 4 or 5.
Okay, I'll binge watch it, I promise, and then I'll speak about it tomorrow if you're around, Devon.
There we go.
Such a good show, Courtney. It's an extreme case, but how easy, like something so simple like our conversation can lead to such an extreme case of like unaliving a woman, like from a young kid. It's so good.
Is it called Adolescent?
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
And I've been meaning to watch that. It looks really good.
Yeah, I do really want to watch it.
Do you know what I was going to say before is that my daughter's obviously, she's 13, and sometimes she'll push my buttons and I tell her off and she don't listen to me half the time. But when her dad tells her off, she listens straight away. And then he says to me, I feel like the bad parent because I'm the one that is the dominant one, if you know what I mean. Because she'll listen to her dad, but she'll not listen to me. It's crazy.
So, I mean, we could.
How does that make you feel?
To be honest, I get frustrated because I'm like, why would she not listen to me, but she listen to her dad? Because I discipline her. I take things from her. You know, she's a good child, but sometimes when she's a teenager, she pushes buttons. Like, obviously, she doesn't listen to me, but she listens to her dad, and it frustrates me because it's like I feel like I'm failing sometimes as a parent because I'm like, am I doing, you know?
Taylor, you're not, because my daughter doesn't give a shit what me or her dad say to her. Like, she doesn't care, but we want strong, independent. No, she's not. We want strong, independent women.
I'm not gonna lie, but like as a teenager, I didn't listen to my mum or my dad. That's why my granddad was always the "we're gonna call you granddad" kind of thing. Like I would literally tell my mum to shut up. Like, do you know what I mean? And to this day, I probably still sometimes don't have that level of respect with my mum because we didn't have that kind of relationship. But at the same time, I was a bratty teenager. Like, it happens.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? So you've put it beautifully. You said that you didn't have the respect for your mum or your dad, and they called in your granddad.
Yeah.
And he was the one that did the spanking.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That was when I was a teenager, though.
And not
okay.
Spank.
Yeah.
Please,
oh my God.
Do you know what it is? It's how you said it as well, Devin. It just
you know, without the little spankings from your granddad, where do you think that, I don't know, that could have led?
The thing is, I think for me, like, I think that was just me being a bratty fucking teenager. I don't think it was me being like, I wasn't a bad kid. I'm talking I didn't clean my room. Like, it's not deep. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't affecting anything really bad. I would have never done anything to hurt anyone. I was never that kid because I saw that as a child, what it had done, you know, because I was watched my mum go through DV. So I knew that violence was not the answer. Do you know what I mean? Like, I saw that side of it, so fighting and all of that kind of stuff gave me anxiety. So I would have never done that side of it, but I was just naughty.
I was good. And like, we grew up in a place
You're
where
a naughty
everyone...
girl who needs a spank, Alicia.
No, I never needed to
get out.
But I grew up in a village, right, where everyone's mum and dad were together, and my mum was the only single mum, and she was like looked down on because, you know, this is like the 90s, early 2000s. So, but she did a good job. Like, when we were kids, obviously my brother went off the rails as a teenager, but when we were kids, we were good kids, and we knew, like, if my mum looked at us in a certain way, like, stop immediately, right now.
That look, you can't forget that look.
Like, she didn't have to put her hands on us.
Yeah, even to this day, my mum still gives me that look, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna start because it sticks with you. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I ended up in a pupil referral unit, Ken, because I used to run my mouth at school, and I went to this like posh village school that was a Church of England. I used to run my mouth a lot, and they couldn't handle it. And then once I hit someone, but she deserved it, and I'll do it again.
Gemma Collins. Gemma Collins saying that.
Yeah, but I didn't ever, like, my friends that had their mum and dad, they were like, I had to ring their mums to be like, your daughter's passed out drunk in a field being sick, like, you need to come and do something. But my mum never got those calls.
Smart, and I respected my mum, so I got drunk secretly, okay, and mastered manipulation very early.
I used to come home from school and go on MSN. I was a good kid. I never went out drinking. I used to stay in.
I done it, like, I think once I got really drunk and my brother dragged me home by my hair, and I don't really remember much else, but like, my mum never, she just always kind of gave us freedom to an extent. As long as we followed her rules, it was all right. And there wasn't loads and loads of rules, and it wasn't like, don't do this, don't do that. It was just like, you know, she just gave us life advice. She was good.
Yeah.
I got drunk at the park with my Smirnoff Ice and Lambrini, all right?
Guys, I was putting half a bottle of vodka in a Frosty Jack and spinning around 30 times.
No, like, I did do that as well, you know.
That's what I'm really, okay? Some of us probably needed a smack.
I drank Lambrini as well. Lambrini was hardcore.
I was rich, so I drank.
I was drinking Mad Dog 2020 and Alizé.
I was drinking Moët in the bar.
At least he was drinking Moët and shooting pheasant
Yeah, I actually was.
She actually was. That's not a lie.
That's not even a lie. MD 2010 was grim. Ugh.
Loved the red flavour.
I had the purple one and it was like, no. It was like grape or something it was. Alizé, I remember Alizé.
I loved Alizé. I used to think was like when I was like 14, I used to think it was like really posh cocktail, like wine type thing. So when me and my friends finally like chipped in enough because it was like 15 quid a bottle back then. Bloody hell, that was a lot when you have to go 4 ways in. We think we were rich, mate. And Alicia was actually drinking Moët in the corner park.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Once I set fire, they built a new like wood chip park, and we built a massive mound of the wood chip and set fire to it. And then my mum was walking down the alley with the dog, and we just sprinted through the woods.
It's like your heart absolutely drops.
I used to get a £5 on a weekend, and I used to buy myself 10 pack of Richmond and a bottle of Lambrini, and I'd come on with change. We used to go to the shop and be like, "Oh, can you get